Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. We are zooming in and focusing in on covert narcissist personality disorder and how it presents with lack of empathy and an inflated sense of self-importance. A covert narcissist is an individual who has a very sort of quiet, very sort of reserved demeanor. In other words, you would not automatically think that this person is a narcissist, someone who presents with an inflated or pathological sense of self-importance, and furthermore with a lack of empathy, to the exploitation, to the detriment, or to the neglect of others. And some of the hallmark traits of a covert narcissist are exactly that: lack of attentiveness, lack of eye contact, lack of communication, lack of verbal communication, lack of physical communication if they're in a position where they should be giving you affection, nurturing, a pat on the back. They can be very reserved, very withdrawn, very retreating, and really to the detriment of others. In other words, they are just going to be like blindsided, or really kind of live with their life with blinders on to the needs of others, specifically if they're in a role where they are to be responsible or accountable to others. For example, a father, a spouse, a sibling, a boss or a manager, someone who is in a position of leadership, where this individual, as part of the nature of their relationship, is to be active in this role or proactive in this role. For example, a father to be guiding or directive or nurturing or supportive, or a provider. This is kind of inherent in the role itself of being a parent. So they might fall short of that. Also, if they're a spouse, lack of verbal communication, lack of physical communication, hugs, kisses, back scratch, etc. Lack of communication. In other words, not addressing the issues that should be addressed. Just sweeping them repeatedly under the rug, not planning, not communicating, not looking at the big picture, but only, keeping focused on the microcosm, which is their picture. And this lack of accountability and lack of communication can become more evident with time. The fact that they're very successful, very adept in specific areas of their life. They might be the breadwinner, they might be, the business owner, they might be the boss, the CEO, the doctor, etc. So it's not that they're lacking in the intellectual skills, the, cognitive capacity. They're just, they're displaying with a deficit, which means a lack in this area. So you're going to see a lot of deficit, or basically inactivity or lack of responsibility and accountability in these areas. So it can become very subtle because it can really present with a lack of empathy combined with this self-importance. In other words, they're focusing on their microcosm, their own world, and not the macrocosm or the bigger picture as a whole. So they're very much stuck in the I versus the we. And that can become very difficult when you're in a relationship where there has to be a we, such as when they are a spouse or when they are a father. There's certain responsibility and accountability that is inherent in the job to guide, nurture, and direct that child, provide affection, let them know that they are loved, let them know that they are acknowledged, let them know that they're validated, that they're heard, they're listened to, provided the opportunity, and not just the opportunity for food and shelter and schooling, but, provided for in terms of having communication with an adult in their immediate environment, so that they can, utilize and develop their communication skills, their self-esteem skills that are part of child development to meet those needs. And oftentimes there's a real deficit in that. And also in the covert narcissist, inattentiveness and sort of really, being kind of aloof is really sort of the disdain for others, or this sort of quiet snubbing of the needs of others. Your needs might be very natural, in other words, not over-exaggerated, but, you know, the need to be talked to, the need to be given affection, the need for guidance, the need for direction, the need for communication, which is just like, hello, how are you? You know, getting into your world a little bit, you know. So we see a lot of this, not only aloofness and inattention, but also to the point where rather than even being supportive or having the empathy component is the presentation where they really sort of defend and justify everything else in the environment that is really part of the ongoing situation. So, for example, not only are they supportive or insupportive and treat you sort of as an insubordinate, you know, even though they might be in a position where they're supposed to be bringing you up, as in childhood or as a leader at a role, but they're oftentimes going to defend and justify the other situations in the environment and make it seem as if and project subtly that it's your fault that you are, you know, not receiving what you need in the situation. So they're completely going to, you know, surrender and be unaccountable and just basically do the blame shift and not really be there to support and understand, but defend and justify the fact that, you know, you're not getting help, you know, and they're always going to be sort of lobbing it into that situation, if that makes any sense. So not only is there the inattentiveness to you directly, they're going to, you know, spread that into the world at large and sort of continue to scapegoat and sabotage those other individuals whom they are presenting a lack of empathy. So sometimes it can be really as a double whammy for people. And so that's where you really need to understand this and realize that this is oftentimes a shortcoming of the covert narcissist. You're not going to be able to receive that which you should be receiving from them, but you need to now realize that the healing is in your hands. The health is in your hands, and the validation that you are seeking is in your hands. It is in your responsibility. It is for you now to really kind of replace that covert narcissist and really provide that to yourself. If that seems fair or not, I mean, that's up for discussion. But if you can understand that need to validate, support, nurture, love, give affection, and validation to yourself, which you're seeking from this individual, they should, you know, they didn't, all these deficits you now have to acknowledge and then provide to yourself. So the validation, I did experience this. I do need this. I do feel this. This is real. This is real to me. I'm not making this up. I'm not a less than or inferior person because I'm not receiving that validation from you. I need to take really the torch and take that, you know, carry that torch, carry that stick, carry that knowledge that you have, and then furthermore, use that to empower you in your life. In other words, sort of internalize that leader that you need in this person and really realize that you have to satisfy and be that within yourself. Cultivate the qualities on a daily basis. I need to validate and back up myself. I need to have a strong backbone. I can't seek it from that individual. They are not there for me in that way. They are not going to be able to be a sounding board. They're not going to be able to have that heart-to-heart sort of communication or experience. It's not going to be possible. So use that to empower you, and then furthermore, surround yourself with people who do have the ability to listen, hear, validate, nurture, and support. So you can begin to exercise that self-empowered muscle and begin to do that day by day, so you become really more secure and develop that affirmation and that self-belief and self-esteem that comes with daily practice and consistent repetition and knowing, which is the certainty that you need really that brings forth that healing within your life. It's peace and harmony with you here today. I'm hoping that these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.